Hello, everybody. This is Bobby Mills with theindependent.com with another version of Endzone Online. We're at Adams Central High School. Well, not in Hastings, but outside of Hastings, Nebraska. We're with head coach Shawn Mulligan. Glad to meet you at this place and talk some football.
Glad to have you.
Hey, thank you. Things are going well, man.
Yep, can't complain right now.
So is this 6th or 7th year?
This is my 7th year as a head coach,
Head coach.
21st year overall coaching, 13 as an assistant, 7th as a head coach, and I was at Silver Lake for 1 year.
So you kind of knew your way around the place a little bit.
A little bit, yep.
So, can you update me on your current coaching staff? Any additions?
No, it's the same. We have total 6, including myself, so
Yeah.
I have 5 assistants. We haven't changed over the last few years. Coach Samuelson coaches our wide receivers and DBs. He joined the staff probably 3 years ago when Evan Smith, our girls basketball coach, left to do that. Coach Hotelling is wide receivers and DBs too. I coach the quarterbacks, kind of the running backs, and help out Coach Lewis with the linebackers. He's also our defensive coordinator. Jacobitz and Reitzel kind of team together to do the offensive line and defensive line. Reitzel's the defensive guy, and Jacobitz is the offensive guy. So together, that's our staff.
Cohesiveness and
Yep.
years together, man,
Yep.
makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
all of them came about the same time. About 3 of them came about probably 8 or 9, 10 years ago, somewhere in that range. Samuelson about 3 years ago. I think Jacobitz came 5 years ago, 6 years ago, somewhere in that range. So, it's been
So
together for a
there's
while.
some that have been on Bill Carlin's staff that actually.
Yep. They were when he was head and I was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Excuse me, defensive coordinator. They were assistants, and then Coach Lewis was on staff there at that time when I went to offense, and he took the defensive role. So yeah, there's been 4 of us together for quite a while.
Well, that makes a difference. It's a lot easier on the head coach, I can tell you that.
It does make it easier, yes, sir.
Coach Lewis might be the king of the state after that. Yeah, after that game plan against Wahoo. We'll get to that in a little bit. So, what were your expectations after? People kind of have a misunderstanding about who's coming back, and sometimes they don't look deep into the program. What were your expectations after? Man, you lost some key people, but had some good ones coming back.
Yeah,
really.
we had 3 All-State football players: Gabe
Yeah.
Conant, Evan Johnson, and Leif Spady. And
Oh.
you don't replace All-State football players that easily. And so I think a lot of people looked at the program and thought that we would be down this year, but those guys have been talented, and other individuals too, were talented individuals that have played for quite a while. And you can see this year that we had guys that were backing them up that were pretty good athletes too. And we knew we would have a good football team this year. As always, you have a few questions here and there that you have to try to address as the season goes on or before the season starts too. But we knew that we had talent and pretty good depth in a lot of those positions also too to put together a good football team. You always have to be good, healthy, and lucky to be good in any season on that. And we're working on all 3 parts of that.
And you can see this as far as injuries go for this program, man. I got the fingers crossed because they've been bitten the last few years.
And we were really lucky last year. We had no injuries whatsoever, and this year we've had a little bit of an issue, but you always have that.
Banged up, yeah, a little bit. So you haven't lost anybody, have you?
Well, we lost Dawson Calhoun. He started for us as a freshman, had huge potential, and then blew out. I think it was his right knee his sophomore year and his junior year, so he didn't play either of those years, and was coming back and was in really good form and expecting to play for us on the offensive and defensive line. He was 6'5", 250, really good football player, and blew out his other knee in our scrimmage.
That's a terrible story, isn't it? It's hard.
So we lost him, and Oakland Smith started for us on our linebacker crew last year as a sophomore, and he played some in the Wahoo game, but he's battling an ankle right now, so he's been out really pretty much most of the season so far for us. But other than that, we're healthy.
Good. I really like that kid. Man.
Yeah,
he's a competitor.
He's got a chip on his shoulder, that's for sure.
Oh, man, he shows up with an attitude, and I love it. I didn't realize it. I didn't see his name in the stats, and I thought something was missing. But anyway, let's hope he can play, man.
He'll get back. He'll just got to take a little time.
Yep, good deal, good deal. So, how did you, before the season, or when Evan left, did you have in mind that Cam Foster was going to be the quarterback?
Yeah, definitely. He's backed up Evan for the last couple of years, to be honest with you. This summer, him and Jacob Eckhart did a really good job of working with our receivers and trying to develop some timing on that. And Cam has put in his time, and he was ready to take the reins from Evan on that, and has done a very good job in a very high-pressure situation when you have a quarterback like that has been so successful for 4 years and did the records that he did for the school and the state, to step into the shoes that Evan left and to perform at a good level, high level so far is a commitment to his program and what he has done for himself in the offseason.
I can see him not being overly concerned about that.
No, the first game, I know that there was the Holdridge game. There was definitely, I saw it, I could feel it. A little bit of his communication was he was concerned about how he was going to do, game number 1 coming out.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and he's done fine all 3 games.
I think between him and Schlechter, you're just going to have, I mean, those are 2 good athletes.
Well, and they play on the basketball court together very
I
well
know.
too, so you'd think that would translate over in the football field, which it has.
Yeah, and some don't even go out for football now. We don't want that. So, is there any rhyme or reason why there's always a good running back at AC? I mean, it just always looks like there's somebody waiting in the wings. My drum students, there's an 8th grader over there, it's unbelievable. 7th grader.
I would agree with you. I spent some time looking at this before we met today, and since 2004, we've only had 2 years where we didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher, and I was looking back at the names of the individuals we have, and I would like to say that maybe we grow them here, we have great coaching to that, but it's, God blesses certain individuals in certain ways. Some schools just have really big linemen, tall receivers, great quarterbacks. We just seem to have a number of talented running backs. The last 3 years, Gabe Conant has done an excellent job for us, one of the best that we've ever had here. Hyatt Collins has had a great year or two, and Gabe has a little brother named Nick Conant that's a freshman for us. And
Of course he does.
he's going to be pretty good too in the years to come too. So yeah, we've been blessed. Some of the guys, I don't, but some of the guys kind of call us running back you a little
Well,
bit.
I back high like Omaha Central, man, and not necessarily out of the I formation, but I mean, when I look back on those 1,000-yard rushers on my list, and there's a couple I have to really think hard to remember, that means that there's a lot of them that came through here.
There's a lot of good ones. And for me to pin down, who was the best running back here in my 21 years, I couldn't say that because there's so many of them that did so well, whether it was finishing runs or just comprehension, physicality, elusiveness. There's just a lot of them, which is nice.
Yeah, each had a different trait. And
Yep.
I think I put a poll on once years ago, and it was Eric that came up. Walters that came up as the number 1, but.
Yep.
There's guys that had different traits that were different than him. So I thought you had some great underclassmen, just as you mentioned before, especially on defense. Am I correct on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our junior-senior class together is really a good fit for each other. Drew Boniface is a junior for us that has done extremely well at the safety position for us. Defensively, Leighton Weber is a sophomore. Landon Weber's little brother that was All-State for us a few years back has done a good job on the offensive and defensive line. Oakland Smith, like you said before, is a junior for us. Those are some of the guys that we kind of were hoping and expecting them to step up this year, and they've done a really good job for us.
That Oakland Smith, by the way, reminds me of a kid named Eli Small from Elkhorn South. He's already got a full ride to Kentucky in baseball, and they're both just and we're gonna hit you.
Yep.
So once again, let's hope he comes back quick. Offensive personnel, how many people did you lose off your offensive line?
A lot. We only returned Drew Vonderfecht.
That's what I thought.
So we had to replace 4 offensive linemen. Cody Gerloff starts for us at left tackle. Leighton Weber is at center. Dylan Pfeiffer, and we returned Sam Hamburger. How could I forget Sam?
Yeah,
Sam and Drew are both returning, and then Leighton, Dylan Pfeiffer, Blaine Plake, and Cody Gerloff play the offensive line for us. That's probably our biggest area of lack of depth. I mean, we pretty much play 6 guys in the line there.
That's good.
Well, it's better than 5.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a little depth there.
A little bit, yeah. Receivers-wise, we play 8 guys. We have a lot of skill out there. Running backs, I could honestly put, especially if Oakland's healthy, I could put 3 running backs in there. Quarterback Scam is our guy, but Jacob Eckhart could step in and run the offense fine. So we're in our skill area, and that's part of the reason why we moved from Maryland I to what we do now the last 5-6 years is just because the kids we have in our school fit better to that than trying to line up too tight, run right at you.
Yep. You don't see that a lot, but it's kind of fun to do once in a while.
I would like to be able to do that, to be honest with you.
It's a great formation. I loved when Bill ran that one. But how about on defense? You had 6 starters coming back, is that correct? That's a pretty good nucleus there, especially with the form that those kids have. Who teaches that form? I've never seen better tacklers than AC. I think, you know, there's just certain schools that have that tech. Donovan Trumbull tackles well.
Well, thank you. We went to the heads-up tackling, the getting not your head across, but kind of on the backside.
Right.
The Seahawk type of tackling.
Yeah, yeah.
We went to that about 4 years ago. Coach Josh Lewis, is the one that's in charge of, running that tackling part of our program, and so the terminology is very consistent with all of our players, and we do make it a focus as far as shortening your stride, swooping, getting your to the near hip, and you hear coaches say it a lot out there, and we miss tackles like everybody else
Sure.
do. But I would say when we went to that, again, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4 years ago, our missed tackles have gone down exponentially from there, and our success has gone up too because of that.
Well, I've seen it, boy, and
Thank you.
and I just, it's just a form that I really think is, I'm a, yeah.
Well, and it helps us too because we try to keep the head. Granted, it doesn't always happen, but we try to keep the head out of the tackle, and we have had less concussions since then because it seemed like we were having a lot of those issues beforehand, and now we'll have an occasional concussion here or there, but it just seems like they have gone down because of the change of the form of the way we tackle.
I think I saw it. I think Guy Rosenberg runs that at Elkhorn South. So I like that. I like that form. It must be working here. What do you think of your district? I mean, it's once again stronger than heck.
Yeah, district and just the schedule as a whole.
Oh, good grief!
Is it's difficult, but that's fine. We're used to that. The last 2 or 3 years we've played a lot of rated teams, a lot of teams that qualify for the playoffs. I know, especially last year. I mean, depending on whose opinion you get from it, we have probably 5 rated teams on our schedule that we have played or will play in the future, and it just gives you great competition to see where you're at.
Oh, I think it's be the best. You got to beat the best. So,
Yep.
do you ever request anybody?
You can put the Christmas wish list, I guess, as they would say, but I don't think that they pay
I think it's getting worse.
much attention. You have your district, and then I think they just do geographic location
Yeah.
for the most part. And they might look at, okay, this team has a strong program. We're going to try to play them towards certain stronger programs
Yeah.
in the state.
Yeah.
But I think mostly it just comes down to how close you are to certain schools, and typically play those in your area plus your district.
Yeah, and I know that Cross County, an 8-man school, I want to play. He put down, I want to play the toughest, and they gave it to him. So
Well, and it's when you do it a 2-year schedule. Just because you're good last year doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be good the next year. Some programs do have a tendency to be consistently good over a prolonged period of time. So you can try to do some of that to make sure that better teams are playing each other. But every year it changes, and from the beginning of the year to the end of the year it changes because of injuries also.
So, with a tough schedule, do you have more depth than you did last year, do you think, to handle this year? Or it looked to me about the same, but you'd know more than I, for sure.
It depends on which area of the game you
I
are
suppose.
asking me about. I think we are pretty deep in all of the skill positions inside the tackles on the offensive and defensive line. I don't think we go nearly as deep as far as the drop off on that. But every team, most all teams are like that,
Sure.
where they have maybe 3 guys that are rotating in for 2 spots. But we're in a good place. I mean, we're better than most, I guess I would definitely say.
I mean, this isn't a program where you're like at Bellevue West, where Michael Huffman says, I don't want anybody playing 2 ways. That's not going to work.
No.
Every ideal, perfect, but you're not going to work at this Class C1
No,
level.
there's no one that we have. We did that with Evan.
Yeah, I understand.
But other than that, every player we've had, if they're good enough to play on both sides of the ball, they do. We definitely have enough depth to give them rest. And there's certain players you want out there more than others.
Yeah.
And in crunch times on that. But the fun part of the game is playing the game. And so we want to give kids enough opportunities to be able to prove themselves on the field.
I'd want to be there. If I was good enough to play both sides, and it'd kill to sit on the sidelines to be clear ahead. But so we talked about this a little before in closing. What are the prospects? Do they look good that you guys will be C1 for a while?
Yeah, our numbers are good
Yeah.
in all of our classes. We built a new elementary school a number of years back. I think the numbers over at the elementary school are really, really good.
Good.
I think we're pretty full over there, but by the time that they would move up into the high school level, and I mean, that's a number of years down the road, but we're staying pretty consistent with our class enrollment as far as, boy-girl ratio. It's staying pretty close to, and we're not real close to Class B classification based off of what the NSA has put on it. So I don't foresee us going anywhere up to B for quite a while.
I like it. I really like it. I like you guys in C1.
I like us in C1 too. I've been in B before too, and you can be successful there. We were successful
Yeah.
there. It's just they, B for the most part, there's 2-1. So they got 2 quarterbacks, got 4
Yep.
receivers. I mean, they just have a lot more of it, and then of course injuries in our sport.
Yep.
It just makes it very difficult.
Just
So
a numbers game.
Football is a game of numbers. That's
Yep.
correct. And I think that what the NSA has done as far as putting that parameter of, this is the number boy ratio where it's supposed to be. If you fit in there, then this is the classification. I think that they've done a good job with that.
I think so.
Because the bottom is not as nearly as big as what it used to be when when we were playing Hastings High and we were in Class B. It's a big.
Ooh, there's a big,
There's a big drop, yeah. They got 200 plus kids in a grade and you got 80.
I know, you're going up against Lincoln Piuses and stuff like that, doesn't seem fair, that might be the widest class of all, but anyway, been great talking to you, man.
Thank you.
Number one in Class C1 in one poll, and keep up the good work. It's settled on the field, so I think they decide this Thursday on how to formulate the playoffs, that's what I heard. You just take them one at a time anyway, where they put you, you're gonna go play.
The reporters and stuff around here get kind of tired of talking to me because I only just want to know. I don't look anywhere down the road. We play Cozette, and that's who we're going to play and focus on. And
That's right.
I don't worry about what the playoffs is going to happen or who we play for 2 or 3 weeks. It's take care of business this week.
That's right, that's what champions do. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to come
Thank
over
you.
here. Coach Mulligan for Adams Central High School. We wish them the best down the road. Get out and see a game if you can. Travel and see a game. It's worth watching these guys. So for Carissa behind the camera, this is Bobby Mills for Endzone Online. We'll catch you next time down the road.
Perfect.